folks. Give us just a second for the YouTube folks to catch up. Hello, folks. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live, brought to you by Black Cat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online, community. I'm Mark. As you can see, Francie's not here. She's teaching today, so you're stuck with me on my lonesome. You pick up your books on Wednesday, you read them through the week, you tune in on Saturday, and we hang out and we talk comics. We talk comic shops. So thank you for joining us. This is an interactive show, so feel free to throw your questions, comments, queries, concerns. We want to talk about what's at the top of your stack this week, what you're reading, what you're looking forward to reading. How you doing, Marco? Thanks for joining us. It was a good week of stuff. Always like to start the show before we get into the comics with a little comic shop news. Comic shop news. To be really honest, everybody, I think, have been following too much of the regular news, so I don't have a whole lot of comic shop news, but can we talk just a little bit of Mandalorian? Mandalorian started, and man, I think that's what everybody is talking about in comic shops, aside from comics these days. Don't want to give out any spoilers, but folks, get yourself on some Disney Plus, check out some Mandalorian. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you can check out and love some Mandalorian because, man, it's just great TV. Mini movies in every episode. Obviously, I'm huge on Star Wars, so I'm a little biased. But the way that it has taken the world by storm indicates that I'm not just the only one. If you love sci-fi, if you love westerns, if you just love cool shows, check out some Mandalorian. And the two episodes of this season have been just as awesome as last season. So I'm looking forward to them keeping it coming. And I'm super jazzed to get episodic Star Wars. That's not animated. Nothing against the animated stuff. That was great. But getting live action episodic Star Wars is something I was told we were going to get, kind of like flying cars. When I was a kid, it was flying cars, jetpacks, and episodic Star Wars on TV. And now we're finally getting it. So that's really awesome. Good times. And like I say, if you're watching Mandalorian, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not, you should be, because it's great. And like I say, that's maybe all I've got for comic shop news. You've gotten the updates on Black Cat Chronicles. As everybody knows, we got the funding. The book is in process and in progress. We're going to get it out on time, and those of you who've already signed up will, of course, get your cool packages. Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we'll have a link on the website real soon, so you can pre-purchase and pre-order copies of Black Cat Chronicles, because it's going to be awesome. So that's all the comic shop news that I've got, and we've got a lot of great books to talk about this week, so we'll just get right to it. When I'm on my own in the show, I treat it kind of like I used to do the podcast when I'm on my own. I just like rattle about books and go on and on. So throw me those questions, throw me those comments. I want to know what you want to talk about. I don't want to make you just sit there and listen to me for an hour, but Lord knows I can go on for an hour and talk about comics. I've got some of Francie's choices here. I've got some of her notes, so you can, those of you who follow the stuff that she reads or like to take her suggestions, I've got those for you as well. Thanks, Manuel. Mandalorian is way cool. And I guess mini spoiler, though the internet has, of course, already beaten me to it. I have this Boba Fett figure sitting back here teasing you guys, staring at you guys. You guys need a Boba Fett figure for some reason. Anyway, let's get on to the comics. So I get to start. There's lots of great books to talk about this week, and I love starting with a couple of my favorites, and this week I get a real special treat. So first of all, let me talk about The Avengers. Everybody knows this and Captain America are my all-time favorite titles, and right now both series are as good as just about any other run you'd want to put up there. This is number 38. This is the first issue after the Age of Khonshu stuff. Jason Aaron, Ed McGuinness. You can read my review in the newsletter, but for most Marvel people, I had you at Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness. You DC folks will remember Ed McGuinness maybe from Superman Batman with Jeff Loeb, one of the all-time great runs of a great title. But this book's a lot of fun. If you love superhero, out of control stuff, big teams with big characters, all the big heroes, big villains, all that kind of thing, it's a great time to be an Avengers fan. I go on and on, but if you're not reading Avengers, try out this issue. It's the first issue of the next part, and see if the art doesn't suck you in. See if the story doesn't keep you reading. I mean, it's got Red Hulk right there. Classic characters, new characters, on and on I could go, but it's just a great time to be an Avengers fan. I talk about the book all the time, but whenever there's a jump-in point, I really encourage folks to drop the $3.99 and give it a try because, like I say, it'll suck you in. Now, I've always conceded that team books aren't for everybody. People will always say there's too much going on. They don't have enough time dedicated to any one specific character and all those things. And those arguments are true. But I've always liked team books for sort of the opposite reason. I kind of like the relationships of Cap and Steve and Tony, and the relationships of the characters, all the different powers and the different things that go on with multiple characters in those big slugfest scenes. And so if you're not a team book person, it's certainly not going to change your mind. But if you like books with a lot going on, it's a good time to be an Avengers. Now, why did I start with that one of all the books that I could have started with today? Because I'm also doing a bit of a flashback. Yeah. If my man Steve's watching, this is his favorite comic of all time. This is a lot of people's favorite comic of all time, and with very good reason. This is the facsimile edition of Avengers number 57. This is a identical reprint for the first appearance of the Vision. Everybody knows, again, Avengers is my favorite title. This issue is a big part of why. When I was a kid, this was one of the most key books you could ever hope to have. And couldn't tell you how happy I was to finally get a copy of this book, the original. I'm super, super jazzed that they put this in a facsimile. Again, if you aren't reading Avengers, you got to have this book. If you aren't big on classic comics, if you don't know much about classic comics, for whatever reason, you don't have too many books prior to, let's say, 1990, pick up some of these facsimile editions. They're really awesome. What makes it a facsimile edition? Along with the story, you get the original ads, which is super tons of fun. This is the reprint of the original back cover. Let me find one of those super classic comic book ad pages, super classic comic book art pages. I love these facsimile editions and being able to read. Oh, damage. Don't worry, folks. I use my own personal copy for all of these videos, and I beat my stuff up, but I don't care. It's just a great book. Like I say, an opportunity to read the first appearance of the Vision for $4 is really great. Next week, we get another all-time great. They're giving us X-Men number 4 in a facsimile edition. That's the first appearance of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. That's a book I don't have in my personal stash. It's still on my my bucket list, so I'm really jazzed to get essentially a brand new copy of a book like that. So for an Avengers fan like me, ba-bam, ba-bam. This is $8 and hours and hours of fun, hours and hours of good reading, spanning the decades, spanning the eras. Like I say, as an Avengers fan, I couldn't have been happier this week. I would have, obviously, I picked up a few other books this week, but if I'd have just grabbed these two, I would have been very, very happy with that. Like I say, great time to be an Avengers fan. Anybody out there see the likes and such coming up? Any Avengers fans? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody read Jason Aaron or Ed McGuinness? Ed McGuinness is really great. They did a line of action figures for that Superman Batman run that I absolutely loved because all those guys are big and bulky like superheroes are supposed to be. Good times. So like I say, if you're not checking out Avengers, check out Avengers 38. Let me jump over to one of Francie's books real quick and talk about Deceased, Dead Planet. Hey, TJM, thanks for the backup. Red Hulk is awesome. I'm sorry, before I get on to this book, let me jump back to that just for a second, since My friend over here on YouTube mentioned the Red Hulk. What makes this book especially fun, and what makes a lot of Marvel books especially fun right now, is that they're embracing the history, they're embracing the continuity, they're embracing all of these plot lines and characters and things that they've left out on the table over the years. And it's really, really fun. It's fun seeing, Red Hulk exploded years back, and people loved him, and it's fun seeing him coming back. They did the Serpent Crown with a Conan story, for example. Most of you don't even know what the Serpent Crown is, but if you're a fan of old school comics, you know and remember the Serpent Crown, and you know that Marvel has all kinds of cool gizmos, not just the Infinity Gauntlet. There's the Serpent Crown and the Cosmic Cube and all sorts of cool things out there. All sorts of great characters like Red Hulk, like they busted out Moon Knight in the arc before this because Moon Knight's really great. That's why they're giving him a show. All those things. So thanks for mentioning Red Hulk. Like I say, I don't know if it's even conscious in a lot of Marvel books, but you see it in Fantastic Four, you see it in Iron Man, you see it in Avengers. And like I say, as an old school fan, I appreciate the embracing of all of that stuff, of the embracing of the history. But as a new fan, you don't have to know any of that. It's all new to you, so you just got to enjoy the awesomeness. Okay. Enough of that Avengers tirade. Read the Avengers because it's awesome. It's always been awesome. So this was one of Francie's picks for the week. It's DC's Dead Planet. This was probably one of your picks for the week as well. Everybody loving Deceased. I should chime in, though I'm trying to offer her opinions on the book. It takes a lot to get her to read superhero books, quite honestly. As you know, if you watch this show a lot, she reads a lot of horror. She reads a lot of the Black Label stuff. She reads a lot of things that's not necessarily a lot of the independents. You don't really catch her reading too much Justice League or too much whatever have you. She likes Batman, kind of draws the line there with superheroes. So I was a little surprised, pleasantly surprised that she enjoyed this book so much, liked to talk about it so much. Why? Because it's awesome. Great stories, great art, shocking moments, and all that kind of thing. It's a really, really fun read. Everybody's into zombies. Everybody's into the horror thing. I love the fusion thing. I love mixing a little horror in with my superheroes. I love when you mix in a little sci-fi in your comics, whatever it might be. And that's just tons of fun. This is the third incarnation. There was Deceased something, and now it's Deceased Dead Planet. They've all sold like crazy. The first one was probably the biggest book of last year or early part of this year. And that's why it's already got 2 sequels out. Again, if you're a DC fan, you're going to love all this because of the nods to the characters, the new incarnations of the characters that you know and love. If you don't know much about all this stuff, then it's new to you and it totally works. And you can just jump right in and be like, oh man, this is dark and this is heavy. Comics featuring the demise of a supreme leader. I'm sure you can read, Force Awakens or something like that. Speaking of which, okay. Speaking of emperors and whatnot, Star Wars. Love me some Star Wars. Right after Avengers, one of my all-time favorite franchise things in or out of comics is Star Wars. I mentioned that at the top with Mandalorian. Similar to Mandalorian, obviously, it helps to like Star Wars if you're going to read the comic, but you can enjoy the comic without knowing or caring anything about about Star Wars. Why? Great stories, great art. Here's Chewie and Lando. Yeah, you love anything with Chewie and Lando. I've enjoyed the heck out of all things Star Wars coming out of Marvel recently. The Darth Vader series is some of the best stuff. This is the second run. The first run took place just after New Hope and ran about 75 issues. This is volume 2. Takes place just after Empire Strikes Back. Everybody knows that Empire Strikes Back is the best and everybody's favorite part of Star Wars. Empire Strikes Back. So Star Wars comics, and it's a ton of fun. Again, you can go back and read the trades for the previous series. It was great. You can just jump into the series. This is number, what did I say, 8. the trade paperback for 1 through 6 comes next week. If you don't want to pick up the single issues, frankly, you might not be able to find all the single issues at this point because it's super popular. I'd like to say, been really, really enjoying it, giving you, as I say with the Marvel stuff, embracing all the continuity, embracing the characters, embracing the things you love, but giving you new, fresh, fun, exciting stories. As you can see, that says The Will of Tarkin. Maybe you can't see that because maybe you're reading it backwards, but everybody loves Tarkin. Come on, man. Evacuate in our moment of triumph. Love me some Star Wars. So that was actually just a segue, really, to this guy. Like I say, I love all things Star Wars. I love, love, love Star Wars Adventures, the IDW Marvel team-up to do all ages Star Wars comics. They've done the main series. They've done Clone Wars. They've gone all over the timeline. And this is the third. This is the double-sized one-shot, how do they call it? Shadow of Vader's Castle. This is the third Vader's Castle book that they've done. 2 years ago, they did a weekly. There was 5 weeks in October, and they did a weekly Vader's Castle book for Halloween, and it was brilliant. And it sold like crazy. So the next year, they gave us another one, which was really fun. And then this year for Halloween, maybe a little late, we got the third series. You don't have to have read the other two to get the gist of it. You just got to love Darth Vader. I really, really enjoy this for 1,000 reasons. Number one, what I love about Star Wars Adventures is getting Star Wars comics in an all ages format. Star Wars is supposed to be an all ages format, but not like in a dumbed down kiddie version, just in an easier to read, easier to absorb sort of version. It's the main series is a lot of fun, but then again, 2 years ago came along the Vader's, I forget what the first one was titled because I'm an old man, cut me some slack, but it was something Vader's Castle, and it was awesome because it was horror stories set in the Star Wars universe and made for all ages. I mean, horror stories for kids, what's cooler than that? And who's a better character for all ages horror stories than Darth Vader? Let me see if I can give you a not very spoilerific page. Here's something bad happening to somebody in the Empire. Empire guys are like Nazis. You can always have bad things happen to guys in Imperial outfits, and you're like, yeah, suck it to them. Like I say, all ages Star Wars is fun. Scary stories set for all ages in the Star Wars universe is fun. Can't say enough about Star Wars Adventures. And the great job that IDW has done with a lot of Marvel stuff. They do the whole line of Marvel Ages books with Captain Marvel and Spider-Man and Avengers and Black Panther and all kinds of great stuff. So as I say in the Wednesday video all the time, if you have a young reader in your life, these are awesome. You're just looking for something a little light, a little less mega apocalyptic than your usual comics. These are a ton of fun. And if you're any kind of Star Wars fan that likes to read comics, Star Wars Adventures, Star Wars Adventures. And to my subscribers, little side note, a lot of my subs have all Star Wars, no Star Wars Adventures because they have some mindset against all ages books. And I get it. I'm a guy that likes dark stuff too, but give it a try because it's awesome. Good stuff there. And let me catch up on your notes here. Yep, T-Jam knows what I'm talking about. He likes that Star Wars stuff. Good time. Yep, everybody's having a good day. Okay, so back to one of Francie's picks. Going to talk some Norse mythology. This is issue number 2. This is is it the adaptation of the Neil Gaiman book, or is it other stories? See, she's not here to tell you these things, but it says Neil Gaiman on it, so you want to buy it anyway because Neil Gaiman is, I don't know, maybe one of the greatest writers of all time. Certainly one of the greatest fiction and genre fiction writers of all time. That's the David Mack cover. That's your B cover. The A cover was just as awesome, but I'm a huge, huge fan of David Mack. So given the choice of which cover to show, I tend to show cover A's just because that's the one you see on the internet. That's the one that you see representing the book. But every once in a while, I like to highlight a B cover because they're gorgeous. Like I say, I like anything from David Mack. And you guys like anything from Neil Gaiman. Pick up American Gods. Grab the first issue of Norse Mythology. Pick up the second issue. It's great stuff. Neil is always extremely entertaining. You don't find me reading many things that aren't about superheroes, but, you know, that's Thor, so that passes. Good times. And of course, you know, I don't have to tell you guys, but maybe there's somebody out here that doesn't know. Neil has written all kinds of great stuff. Now's a great time to jump into Sandman with the Audible thing, with new editions of the hardcovers coming out. If you haven't read Sandman, like I admit I haven't, because it's too intelligent for me. But you should read Sandman. You should check out all the different things that Neil's done, particularly a lot of things that Dark Horse has been kicking out, because that's great stuff. Let me just round that out while we're talking about Francie's books and while I'm talking about B covers. This is Hellblazer, Rise and Fall. This is one of Francie's other picks for the week, because, as I said, she loves the horror stuff. She likes the dark, edgy stuff. And like I chimed in to say that it takes a lot to get her to read a superhero book like Deceased. She's a huge, huge Hellblazer fan, so she's really picky, as we all are with our favorite characters, about how Hellblazer's used, how Constantine's portrayed in his stories, all these kind of things. And so she's a huge fan of this book. She's really liked all the Black Label stuff. Again, I'll try and find you a non-spoiler, non-R-rated page. I really can't say if it's spoiler or not, so I'm not going to show you anything. But there's the awesome B cover, and this Black Label stuff has been a ton of fun. Again, I really appreciate the oversized format, the magazine size. Traditionally, comic publishers stay away from stuff like this because fans tend not to consume oversized books. But they just went at it full bore with the Black Label stuff to give you more room for the art. And like I say, I really appreciate that. How can we get a Black Cat comic shirt like the one you two wear? That's a good question. We're trying to restock the Black Cat shirts as we speak. So if you are a fan of the especially cool Black Cat Comics t-shirt designed by our friend, the incredibly talented Josh Frankel, then be patient and keep watching the show, keep up with the website, keep up with our exciting videos, and you'll be the first to know. Like I say, we're trying to get an order in. We're trying to get more shirts going, hats, cool stuff. As it gets closer to publishing time for the comic, I'm sure we'll get them in before that, but we'll definitely have them up by the time the book comes out, which answers your question, Eric, about the Black Cat comic book. Yes, as I said at the top of the show, Black Cat Chronicles has been funded. We're hard at work. The artist is done. We'll get it all slapped together, stapled out the door. So thank you to everybody that has supported Black Cat Chronicles, that continues to support Black Cat Chronicles. If you all missed the pre-launch, the Kickstarter thing, then be on the lookout for a link at black-cat-comics.com, black-cat-publishing.com. We'll have a link where you can pre-order copies of the book, and it's going to be awesome. So again, thanks for asking, thanks for your support. We're very, very excited to join the publishing world and get our own comics out. But until we get our own comics out, we have other people's comics to talk about. And much like I was going on and on about the Marvel IDW publishing mashup for the All Ages line, I go on and on all the time these days about what a great era of mashups it is. And here comes Stranger Things, Dungeons and Dragons. If you love peanut butter and jelly, if you love great mashups, you love Stranger Things and Dungeons and Dragons, you love My Little Pony and Transformers that's rolling out right now. Boy, I can't say enough about this. I love mashups. I know I've gone into beating this to death on the show, but, you know, every once in a while I get a new viewer, so I'll beat this to death again. Here's another great example, brand new first issue to talk about. Their publishers are mashing up, like IDW and Marvel are getting together and doing great work, because you can do better work together than you. In fact, let me make this. I'll step up on a very small pseudo-political soapbox and say that when you work together, everything's better. Two is better than one. When you mash up, when Marvel and IDW get together, the two of them bring their talents and their skill, and they make a great product. When you get two franchises together, you get to enjoy the best of both franchises. You love Stranger Things? Here's a brand new Stranger Things comic. You love Dungeons and Dragons, but you don't read comics? Well, here's an excuse to read a comic because it's about Dungeons and Dragons. Really, really fun stuff. My Little Pony Transformers introduces the ponies to Transformers and vice versa. Off they go. You love Back to the Future, you're going to love Back to the Future and Transformers. It's not just Transformers mashups. There's all kinds of things going on. Red Sonja and Vampirella are meeting people right and left. Everybody's going to Planet of the Apes. It's just a great time for this thing. See, right there you go. D&D is cool. I remember playing it as a kid. I played it as a kid too. Much like Sandman, it got too smart for me. I'm not terribly bright, so I got into video games. I remember my friend, my old buddy Peanut, my D&D buddy Peanut, showing up one day with a stack of Magic the Gathering cards, and he's like, "It's great. It's just like D&D, but there's no books." What can I say? Dragons, like I say, you love the show. Here's a brand new first issue, and if you don't read much of Dark Horse, great time to be reading Dark Horse. On and on I could go with that, but as I've been talking of mashups, and I love talking of Dark Horse, and I love anything D&D. Is anybody out there old enough to remember the D&D comic book ad that ran about 1982, 1983? There was like a one-page comic with like a wizard and a knight. Anybody remember that? Just me? Am I the only guy who was around reading comics in 1983? Probably, because I'm 100 years old. All right. So, what are you reading? What are you reading? What's at the top of your stack? What was the book you loved? What'd you pick up this week? What'd you pick up last week? What are you looking to pick up next week? Maybe I've been a little Marvel heavy, so let me talk a couple of DCs. I don't know why I don't have Batman 102 here. Batman is out this week, but here's Justice League. A little like Avengers. I love when Justice League and Avengers come out in the same week. I love getting my big team books. Everything you heard me say about Avengers is true with Justice League. You know, all the best heroes coming together, fighting the biggest villains. This is your death metal book of the week. Everybody should be reading Justice League anyway. Yeah, Team America. Everybody is probably reading Justice League, or at least has picked up this one because it's the death metal thing. But like I said, if you're not a team book person, this one's not going to change your mind. If you feel like, you know, oh, that has too many people, too much going on, this isn't going to change your mind. And I get that. It's a big reason why I pitched Daredevil, because Daredevil is just a story of one guy doing his thing. But I love the big team books. I've always said that Justice League should be the event book of the DCU, so I'm happy to see this being the death metal book of the week. I always encourage folks, if you're only reading it because it's a death metal book, stay with the book after the event ends. Give that writer and artist a chance to keep going and keep you entertained. This book particularly is done by Liam Sharp, who I talk about a lot. He's the guy doing Green Lantern Season 2 right now with Grant Morrison. Boom. And boom. I mean, come on. Mr. Sharp, you're amazing. And I don't have anything with Detective Chimp. As I always joke, that's why they named the company after him, because he's awesome. But Justice League, again, like I said about Avengers, if you're not reading Justice League, you definitely should be. And Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Batman Hush. They're back with the Dark Multiverse books. They did a few of these earlier in the year based on other all-time popular DC events. You get to see the Dark Multiverse version of, you know, Crisis and whatnot. And now you're getting Hush, one of, you know, my personal all-time favorite Batman stories, one of a lot of people's all-time favorite Batman stories. Great story, great art. If you're one of the 3 people on Earth who's never read Hush, read that before you read this. But if you're reading the dark metal stuff and you're there's a good lineup page, just to give you a little sample of the art. Good stuff. DC is just knocking it out of the park. And I got to say, as is usually traditionally the case, DC is doing it in a very different way than Marvel. They like to be, you know, on a sort of polar opposite, even though they do what the other does quite a bit. But Marvel's tapping into, as I said, a lot of their history, a lot of their continuity, a lot of the stuff that's been out there for a long time. DC is sort of giving you different, cool new versions of all the things. The Batman Who Laughs and you know, dark multiverse stuff, and you could say, yes, I've seen the dark version of Batman before, and yes, we've seen this before, but it's just cool. They're giving you, I mean, you know, dinosaur, Batmobile, and whatever. DC is just pulling out all the stops and moving and shaking and changing things, and that's really cool. As an old schooler, I've seen both things, both sides of that fence. I love when you give me something new, fun, and exciting. I love when you give me something new, fun, and exciting, and then you change it back to, you know, back to the classic era. That's how comics is. That's how the world is. We're seeing that today. There's that pendulum effect. You know, a few years back, Marvel was the one shaking everything up. Everything was Marvel Now, all new Marvel. And they were giving us, you know, new versions of classic characters and new characters like the new Miss Marvel and stuff. And that was a lot of fun. And having done that, they kind of rolled it back to more of a, you know, back to basics, giving you what you know and love sort of thing. And now DC's sort of on that part of the pendulum. They were giving you, you know, New 52. Rebirth was sort of about foundation and about redefining, which is what it's all about. As I say at the top of the Wednesday video every morning, I like to talk about comics because they're fun to read. Yes, we all buy and collect comics for 1,000 different reasons. But most notably, we buy them because we love to read them. Because, as I always say, great stories and great art. Seeing if there's, oh, there it is. Here's Batman 102, which allows me to re-emphasize what I was just saying, that DC is going for new, fun, and exciting. Here's a new villain in the pages of Batman. There's a new villain over in Detective Comics too. And any comic writer will tell you this. I know because I've read this all my life in 1,000 fanzines by every writer in the business. Everybody will tell you that Superman and Batman are really hard to write because it's really difficult to give you something new, fun, and interesting after 80 years of monthly adventures. After, you know, 50 stories a year for 80 years, it's tough to come up with new things. But you know what? That's what good writers do, and that's what good talent does. They can give you new, fun, and exciting. And so, again, if you're one of the 3 people who for some reason has not been reading Batman recently, you've been missing out. And, you know, Joker War was awesome. You know, we've been talking about all the Tom King stuff. But just as a little note for where the big 2 are, like I say, Marvel is embracing that history. Marvel's giving you what you know and love, but with new and fun and exciting stories. And DC is giving you just shaking it up and giving you brand new stuff. Yes, there was Joker War, and we've all seen Joker and Batman 1,000 times. But now, and they're always awesome. But you got to have new villains once in a while. You got to shake it up. You got to come up with something fresh, something new, something different. So now there's a new villain in Batman. There's a new villain in Detective. It's a great reason to pick up either of those titles. They're both a couple of the best books. Personally, I think Detective might even be a little bit better. But I had that back there because, like I say, good time, good philosophies coming from the big 2. TJM says Last Ronin is hot now. Managed to get a copy. Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. We pitch ourselves as the one-stop shop for all things superhero. I talk a lot about Marvel and DC because that's the bulk of the business, and that's what, you know, viewers are watching. But I do like to talk about indie books. Certainly, Last Ronin. If you don't know, Last Ronin is a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle book that came out this week. Super red hot, super sold out. My phone's been ringing like crazy. I'm surprised my phone hasn't rung while I've been sitting here talking. Because everybody loves that. That's IDW, I believe, because IDW does all kinds of great stuff, particularly the 80s stuff with Turtles and G.I. Joe and Transformers and things. But every week in the Wednesday video, I talk about IDW and Dynamite, Boom Studios, and we've been talking about AWA and Aftershock and all those guys. Again, on this show, it's kind of like hanging out in the shop. I like to talk about what I like to read, what I think you're reading. But I encourage people all the time, if you like reading comics, try those other guys. Find an Image book, find a Dark Horse book. All those other publishers I mentioned, Dynamite, IDW, Boom, all those guys, Oni, they all have great books. They all have a title that you would love to read. I love the Avengers. I love Captain America. My budget is full of Marvel books. My time is full of Marvel books. But as a comic fan, I feel I owe it to myself and I owe it to comics to check out other stuff that looks cool. And y'all like Cullen Bunn? I read his. Then you owe it to yourself to branch out and try those other things. And let's face it, TMNT is a great place to start. Everybody loves a good turtle story. This book, and this isn't spoiling anything, and this will not be a revelation to anybody that knows anything about the Turtles, but the Turtles really starts as a spoof on 80s comics. Teenage Mutants were really huge, ninjas were really huge, and animal comics, talking animal comics, were really huge at the time. So those guys fused all of those things and came up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a spoof of X-Men and Daredevil. It's a spoof of indie comics at the time. Primarily, it's a spoof of Frank Miller Daredevil stuff. And so it's really awesome to get Last Ronin, to get a Turtles comic. I checked out a copy. I didn't pick one up for myself because people wanted it more than I did. Last Ronin is, like I say, it's really neat to see the whole thing kind of come back full circle. If you have copies of the original run, or if you've read reprints of the original run, then you know the kind of Miller-esque thing I'm talking about. And like I say, it's fun to see that show back up in Daredevil. Marvel movies are well scripted. Are the comics equally well written? I would argue that the comics are actually even better written. I totally agree with you that the Marvel movies are completely script driven. I would mention that that I personally feel what makes the Marvel movies successful is that they emulate what makes the comics successful, and I think the writing style is a big part of that. It's character first, action second. Well, I should say character first, plot second, action third. And that's a great style for comics, and it's a great style for movies, particularly action movies. Thanks for the compliments, TGM. He says he enjoys shopping on our online store. He likes how we promote comics and likes our videos. I really appreciate that. I do this for you guys. You know, we're not, even though I say sponsored by black-cat-comics.com. That's obviously me. We get no money from publishers. We get no sponsorship from anybody. We do this for you guys. We do it for us. We do it because it's fun. So I hope you enjoy watching. And I appreciate you guys tuning in and checking it out. I like the Wednesday morning video. I've been doing it every week of my life for over 10 years now, for almost 20 years, is because it's brand new every week. We get, you know, I talk about all these comics every single week, and it's just a ton of fun. I love the Tuesday and Wednesday deal. I love doing the Wednesday video because I love showing you guys all the new books, and I love, you know, hot off the presses, man, right out of the box. And get to show you guys the stuff first thing Wednesday morning, and that's a ton of fun. I like doing these videos. I really appreciate the interaction with the fans all over the country. You know, I love my people. I love my regulars. I love the guys I see all the time. But it's really fun to be able to reach out to, like I say, people around the country, maybe even people around the world. As I say at the top of the show, keeping you connected to the comic book community. And this gives us an opportunity to do that. So thanks for the compliments. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for going to the website, black-cat-comics.com. And, you know, you don't have to just go there to buy stuff. There's a lot of fun content on there. I really suggest you guys get the newsletter. We like to make the newsletter fun and exciting. Most folks, I think, use it just as a way to know when the books are live on the website. But I like to think that it's fun and interesting. We got great reviews encouraging you guys to read fun stuff. So I got one more thing to talk about, and then I'll start to wrap it up. Are you looking forward to reading next week? Real quick, let me mention also, book one of those virtual shopping experiences. If you go to the website, black-cat-comics.com, right there on the homepage where you can click curbside pickup, there's a thing for virtual shopping experience. I do them almost every Saturday. You can book them Friday, Saturday. I got a couple of guys that book them for every Saturday. We have fun. We talk comics. We talk football. We talk anything. You don't have to buy stuff, but if you got questions, if you want to talk to your comic book guy, if you want to pre-order things, whatever it is you want to do, like I say, look into that. We can have this experience and a little more one-on-one. So lastly is what a great time it is to be an X fan. I know it's something I talk a lot about, but while I have a couple of great opportunities, I'm going to keep pushing this X-Men stuff and encouraging you guys to find an X book that you like. Marauders is, what part is this? Well, let's go in order. X-Men number 14 is part 12. Cool apocalypse cover there on X-Men 14. Marauders 14 is part 13 of X of Swords. Everybody's into Marauders. I pull a lot of Marauders for my subscribers. This is, of all the X books, just to throw it out there, a good one to try out because apparently a lot of the X fans prefer this one to some of the others. So, wow. Go back to, so let me start for those of you who, a long time ago, of the entire X family, he did a book called House of X, Powers of 10. There are two six-issue minis that rolled into this book, X-Men. You can get the trade paperback that has Powers of X and Powers of 10, House of X in one big book. Then pick up X-Men Volume 1 to get the gist of basically, I don't call it a reboot. I call it a renaissance. He has this concept, and he's launched this huge concept into the X world, and it's really awesome. It's great science fiction, which the X-Men are supposed to be. Okay, cause I don't want to do all that. I just want to read X-Men. Okay, then just pick up this week's. Cause I can't. That's right in the middle of a big 22-parter. That's no problem. It's comics' job to get you into it. It's comics' job to explain where they've been and then catch you up to where they're going. So if you like science fiction, if you used to be an X-Men fan, just pick up whatever part. This one has a cool apocalypse cover, and then follow the different parts. And it will take you on a fun and exciting tour through all the different X books. And ever since the 90s, people, myself included, have said, oh, there's too many X books. There's too much going on. I don't want to get into all that. I don't want to buy 20 books a week. You don't have to do that. The point of what I'm trying to make is you want to find the one title that you really love and stick with that one. As you read X of Swords, and it takes you through X-Men and into Marauders and into New Mutants and into Cable and into all these other things, you're not going to go nuts for every single art team. You're not going to go nuts for every single story. You're not going to go nuts for every single character in that book. But one of these books, probably Marauders or probably New Mutants. New Mutants is kind of my favorite. X-Force is another one of my favorites. But one of these, you're going to go, wow, this art's really awesome. Ooh, this character is really cool. I want to keep reading more about this character. And that's the idea. You'll get to the end. You'll get to part 22 of 22 in your X of Swords. It'll have some great cataclysmic ending. It'll be awesome. And then you can stick with your New Mutants. Stick with the book that you want to keep reading. So if you want to go gangbusters, like I say, pick up that House of X, Powers of 10 trade, and pick up the X-Men Volume 1 or the Volume 1 of all the different X books to get the gist of the title. But if you like Living Dangerously, if you're a comic book fan, used to just jumping in on things, then just pick up whatever has a cool cover. Follow the different X books through the X of Swords thing, and stick with the one that you like. And I'm sure that there will be one that you like. I'm not traditionally a big X person, but I started reading X-Force, and now I'm hooked because Colossus is cool. The last of that, while I'm on the X theme, and a great book to end the show on, is Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. Everybody loves the crazy knucklehead. Everybody loves out of continuity one-shots. This is really fun. It is exactly what it says it is. Black, white, and red. Black, white, and blood. As Wolverine books are supposed to be, there should be a lot of snickting. If you're a Wolverine fan, if you're a Dark Comics fan, this is one that belongs in a lot of people's stacks. Great team. A lot of great writers, a lot of great artists. Cool stuff. I mean, Adam Kubert right there on the cover. He's one of those guys that it's always worth $4.99 to get an Adam Kubert cover. Ron Garney is one of my favorites. So it's got 3 stories in here. It's a ton of fun. Like I say, if you're the opposite of all those things I just said about X-Books, if you're not into jumping in on some big crossover, if you're not into following a title, if you're just looking for cool stuff to read, I love one-shots, I love specials, you love Wolverine. I love things that have kind of out of the ordinary, you know, things like this, black, white, and red, like when they did this with Sin City one time. That was a lot of fun. So, like I say, great time to be an X fan. Great time to be a fan of a lot of things. As I mentioned earlier with the indie thing, I could be talking about Buffy. I could be talking about, well, I mentioned the one book from Dark Horse. You're right, TJ, the TGM, the 82 Wolverine miniseries. We're hearkening back to the 80s a lot today, and to Frank Miller. And like I say, a lot of great books from the big 2, a lot of great books from all the other. I go through Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, IDW, Dynamite, the whole gang, and I let you know what's new that week. You pick them up off the site, pick them up curbside, get them shipped out to you, read them through the week, tune in on Saturday. We talk all about them. Then you tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. for some Matchbox versus Hot Wheels, the live sporting event of the year. Tons of fun. I guess that about wraps me up for this. Thanks for interacting with us. Love getting your questions on Facebook Live. Catch us every Saturday here on Facebook and on YouTube. And hope you're loving your comics. Keep on reading. Keep on having fun. Like I say, thanks for joining us. Go to black-cat-comics.com and have a great day, everybody.